It was around 2 years ago that I got asked to deliver a closing keynote at a major AI conference and talk about the ethics of designing AI or designing ethical AI. I spent several days at that conference in North Macedonia meeting some of the most incredible people I've ever met. These people were both clued up on science as well as on spirituality and soft matters of psychology, philosophy, and all those kind of things that most people don't really ever even contemplate about, don't care about seemingly, and don't really discuss much, especially in the modern days. And we had some of the deepest conversations about AI, of course, but also about the nature of nature itself, the language, the learning, the modeling of nature of everything, ontologies, all these training models, how the mind works, especially artificial mind. And in my thinking, the nature of the human mind very much correlates to the artificial mind, because everyone's talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence, and effectively recreating human ability to think and reason into the machine. Therefore, if we are going to be able to do that, we have to understand the nature and psychitecture of the human mind to be able to create artificial general intelligence. That was 2 years ago. These days, I'm talking to some of the world's most leading AI researchers and engineers about this, and really utilizing the Fresh Mind framework to evolve AI into the tool that serves humanity, that doesn't destroy humanity. Because the idea of redesigning humanity is a double-edged sword. We can redesign it into absolute obsolescence, or we can design it into superabundant future that works for all of us and helps us all grow, self-actualize, and become who we truly are, while automating boring things, and we never have to do boring things ever again, because it just is not necessary. AI can handle all of it, or whatever we decide for it to handle, and however we decide for it to handle. And the realization in all of this was that once the AI starts automating everything, the future of AI becomes human conversation. Because the thing that we all enjoyed the most during that conference was the actual human deep exploratory conversation, and the feelings, emotions, thoughts, ideas, and insights that we shared with each other, quite literally heart to heart. Many people cried in the conversations because they cried for reasons that are indescribable to many people. They cried because they could see certain futures and potentials of this technology and the world that we are emerging into that are disastrous to majority of people. They could also see that it's possibly going to create the next shift, quantum shift in what we're capable of doing as humanity. And the choice is really ours as a designer of different websites and digital systems for governments and big corporations. I realized I had major power to decide how these things actually work and will work going forward. Quite literally, it was on me to decide. Everyone else was waiting for me to tell them how the thing will work so that they implement it that way. And I realized, my God, I've got the power, so to speak, as a designer to influence the way an entire UK government works, just by a single decision. Imagine what artificial general intelligence will be able to do if it ever gets developed. Of course, it ought to be developed in a way that is ethical and that cares for humans, and that progressively adds value to humanity, but also our environment that enables us to thrive, environment that we want to be healthy and not degrading to us, both physically and mentally. The future of AI is human conversation, and the human conversation is something that we are increasingly losing the skill of holding. How do we hold a human conversation? I was just in a human conversation with a friend of mine, and we connected very deeply and discussed our aspirations into the next year. As right now, as I'm recording this, is Christmas time and heading up into the new year. And of course, it's that stuff that is really valuable, because AI is a synthetic machine that has no soul. We will never be able to design the soul into AI, even though one of my Facebook friends is working on a project like that. But I think it's a very conceptual playground that will prove itself futile, because the soul is something that only living beings have, and it's a profound, inexplicably indescribable value that we sense, but we find hard to put into the words. Yet we just understand and know that we effectively rise in love with other souls, and this includes other living beings. It's completely understandable to me that people love their dogs or cats or pet hamsters, or even chameleons. Yeah, they all have soul, and that soul, the sun, the solar plexus, is the chakra or the foundation and the center, which really is the essence of it all. So the future of AI is human conversation. And this is why I keep Fresh Mind program in as a human conversation, and haven't developed AI for it, and probably never will, because it is very hard to train the machine to understand what it is that the human soul is and how it actually makes everything manifest. So if you want to clear your mind once and for all and get back in touch with your own soul and be able to hold that human conversation again, because you're in touch with your own humanity, reach out to me and let's talk about the Fresh Mind program, or check it out on freshmind.life. Let's go, chap.